why don't I just track the cameraman? Well, yeah, I would hate to track one of those guys, but there's no big orange arrow out there that says, hey, this is the cameraman. And I really don't care. I don't want to follow the cameraman. When I get to the start, there's 2 footprints there, and I've got to memorize those 2 and eliminate everybody else. Because if I start saying, well, this could be a cameraman, and I follow it, it's going to go up on that hill, it's going to come back down here, it's going to walk backwards, it's going to go over in the creek, it's going to, be up and down, bebopping around all over. So, and the big thing with memorizing the 2 tracks of the prey, I very seldom memorize both. I memorize one track and one part of that track that shows up the best, and that's the straight lines. Because eventually those tracks have to come back together. There's only supposed to be one map and one compass. Well, they're cheating like hell now, so there's quite often 2 or 3 maps. A fake one for me and 2 for them. They're starting to throw that crap out and leaving it where I'm going to find it. It's like, hey, I got a map. And you get looking at it and it's like, no, it isn't a map from here. It's, a map from New Brunswick or something. But the guide, that's where he's good. He looks at it because we get fairly small maps. So yeah, I don't track the cameraman because it'd be a waste of time. They're not going where I want to go. So I track the prey most of the time. And the third question I get all the time is, well, there's 2 more. What's my horse's name? And do I use the same horse? And my horse's name at home I call horse. Really don't matter what you call it. It don't show up unless you got a bucket of grain. So you could call it anything you wanted. But I get a different horse pretty much everywhere I go. I think to date I'm up to about 32 different horses, 59 shows. And I get some great horses. I get some awesome horses, and they're marvelous. And I get some real pieces of crap. We showed up in Cape Breton, and I don't get a lot of time with these buggers to get to know them. I normally, if I show up and fly in on a Sunday, Monday afternoon, I meet my guide and my horse. I got a couple hours to play with them and meet, figure out if my guide can ride or whatever, and my horse's name, and we ride him around the corral and maybe get out in the bush for 20 minutes. And the next day we start the chase. Well, I did that with a horse in Cape Breton. Corky was his name. Good looking horse. And we rode around the arena and he was good. You could throw a rope off him, sort of. And he was good in the bush. He could run through stuff. I thought, this is going to be great. So next day we saddled him up at like 6:30 and head down the trail at about 8 o'clock. And we're walking along and there's tracks and I'm looking and all of a sudden we're in the air and landing on the other side, and it's like, crap, what the hell? And I thought, okay, it's a bee's nest or something. And it's like, it's too cold, there's no bees out yet. So I thought, oh well, something tickled them. And we went about another 100 yards, and I'm talking to my guide, and all of a sudden he's jumping a Volkswagen. What the hell's going on? So we landed, and I turned around, and I'm starting to really hang on now, pay some attention. And I turned around, and there's nothing, so I rode him back down the trail. Well, he took this huge leap. He was scared of water. There was a mud puddle. If you spilled a glass of water, that sucker would clear that table. I've never seen a horse that scary. Like if normally they walk up to a creek and give a big lunge. Man, this thing wouldn't walk around a mud puddle. It was terrible. So, and I had to ride this horse for 10 days in New Brunswick, and it rained for 5. Every little creek in there was 6 feet wide. I could not get him to go into a creek to drink water without the other horse going first. He would have died of thirst, I think. But what a great horse. And of course, where did the prey go the last day, the last 20 minutes of the chase? I can see them. They're running across the rocks into this frickin' creek. And Louis, my God, I gotta tell you about Louis. He's deaf in a post. And he's got this little Arab horse, and my guide always rides behind me slightly and on the right. Well, we're going across the rocks, and I can see the prey, and they're in the river, and they're getting deeper. And I'm trying to get Corky over there to the river. Finally, it's like, Louis, get going. And Louis' like, oh my God, he wants me to get him. So away he goes on this little Arab. He's chasing him, and I can't get him back to come back. But we got in the water, and then I kind of got in front of Louis. But poor Louis. I give my producer a hard time because I said, can I please have a guide that has some hearing? Because most of them are deaf or a post. It's like, hey, did you hear that? What? They can't hear a thing. It's hilarious. So I talked to the producer before this show, and he says, yeah, I got you a good guy. His hearing's really good. I looked right at him and just mumbled, and he heard every word. No. So then I meet Louis. Well, he's half French and half Newfoundlandese, and he's a great guy, but he says, oh yeah, he says, I've got a bit of a hearing problem too, you know. He says, I got 40% loss in one ear, 60% loss in the other. He says, I'm deaf at a post. And it's like, oh, isn't that nice? So we're sitting there at the start waiting for the flare. And the producer comes up on this side of my horse. Louis over here. And the producer's talking real quiet and just, running through a bunch of stuff that he normally does. And Louis is kind of leaning over and leaning a little farther, and then he's leaning on my saddle horn. The producer's face is like right here, and Louis is right here. And I'm looking at this, wondering where Louis is going to stop so we can hear something. And the producer looks at Louis and looks at me and he says, is there a problem, Louis? He says, oh no, I can't hear a goddamn thing you're saying. He says, I just read your lips. So the producer looks at him and looks at me and goes, oh my God. That was like 20 minutes before. He said, yeah, the guy hears really well. So yeah, we did a lot of sign language. I don't know if you guys saw it, but that was Rob and Michelle. Michelle was the whiner. Yeah, she was voted worst prey ever. And Louis was right behind her. Louis was from here to that wall away having a pee, and I couldn't yell loud enough to make him stop. He had his back to me. I was throwing sticks and everything, and his horse was jumping sideways, but Louis like just jerking the horse around. Cut it off. Yeah, so finally the prey are running down the road, and I'm trying to get my guide to reel it in, but I have so much fun out there, it's hilarious.